Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo.
What is that I hear? Yes, it's a clock. This time it's more like an alarm clock because it's time to be worried, but it's never time to quit, especially here on the Mafia Minute, where it is all Buffalo Bills all the time, win or lose, rain or shine. I am Magnum Mills here with Jamie G, and we are going to get into the Bills Week 10 game, break it down, and then look ahead to Week 11. Mafia Minute is presented by CCF Fantasy Football. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. We are on social media at CCFFF. Do not forget to fly your Bills flag proudly, and don't forget the flaps. Follow, like, and please subscribe. That's all we ask. If you had fun, please give us that thumb. Helps to bring more people to our show and to bring more people into the Bills Mafia. And Jamie G, I know you're probably not doing great today, but how are you doing? Are you okay? You're okay? Do I have to call services? Are you all right?
This too shall pass. Look, as a Bills fan, we're all of Bills Mafia knows this. We're as tough as they come, and we deal with things, and unfortunately, we've had to deal with a lot throughout the course of being a Bills fan. That's part of being a Buffalo sports fan in general. So par for the course here. Obviously, that was one of the most disgusting, horrible, just inexcusable, inexplicably painful losses that I've witnessed in my my time of watching the Bills, which dates a long time, and it was really bad, and it sucks, and I'm not happy about it. And I'll say this though, the Bills offensively did everything they could to lose that game, and somehow, some way, the defense wouldn't allow it. And, right there at the end, this has kind of been the trend the last, 6 weeks. The defense kind of keeps it close. The offense doesn't do enough, stalls, has turnovers. And then right at the end, they do enough to put a drive together to score. And it's a coin flip. We've seen like the Giants game and the Tampa Bay game, it was enough to win. And then we've seen, the New England game, and then, this game here, where it wasn't enough, in Cincinnati where it wasn't enough. And here we were against Denver where it wasn't enough, So it's just not a way to successfully win in the football league and have sustained success. And it's just, the mistake obviously with the 12 men was absolutely inexcusable, but it shouldn't have came to that. It shouldn't have came to that. We shouldn't have turned the ball over 4 times. The offense needs to be able to execute and score. We just can't have these stalls, and that's what we've seen the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, there were a couple of real gut punches in that game. It definitely was one I stressed out like I was watching an Eagles playoff game. It really got to me at a couple points. Don't want to harp on it too much, but did you agree with the decision to basically mothball Dalvin Cook for almost the rest of the first half after his early fumble?
James Cook, and no, I didn't. I didn't. Look, I understand, and we've seen other coaches do this and get praise, right? Bill Belichick famously did this for many, many years. If a running back fumbles the ball, they're out. I just think it was exacerbated by the fact that they won the coin toss. Everything in Sean McDermott's mind about how he wants to win a football game is everything is to defer and get the ball to start the half. They elect to get the ball offensively first. They had the players only meeting on offense. This was like their time to go out, put a drive together, execute, and score. First play, he fumbles. Now, I'm almost glad that they benched him because he came back into that game like an absolute man possessed, and again had some some issues there with the football throughout the game. I mean, at one point he fumbled on a big run and caught it, bounced back to him and he kept running, but he ran like a man possessed. I think it might have been one of his better performances just in terms of how hard and decisive he ran. But no, I didn't agree with it. He offers speed in the backfield. Without him, we don't have it. And credit Latavius Murray, he played really well. And I love the way he runs the football. They're such a complement to each other, but we need James Cook and we need his speed.
It made sense again, but usually do it a series. That's more what the accepted thing is. You send him down for a series, and they're rotating series anyways, right? Who's to say that maybe Latavius Murray wasn't going to come out in that second series? Give him a minute to breathe. You are right. He did literally run like his hair was on fire, but we would be talking about it a lot different if that one he had fumbled, he had just bounced right back to him.
Yeah.
And that killed me too, because at that point I'm like, they're winning. I'm like, all right, that's, you know what I mean? You get the good bounce. And that was the first time all game where I started to feel a little comfortable. I'm like, all right, here it comes. You got this. You got this. You got this. You do, again, like you mentioned, have to be at least a little bit enlightened, excited about what the defense did. I mean, you heard names. You heard Russell Douglas's name. I heard Greg Rousseau. You heard Epinesa. It's nice to see some of these guys getting in. Any worries about Von Miller at this point?
Before I answer that, just really quickly, it bothered me that they benched James Cook for fumbling, and then the very next drive, Gabe Davis has a ball on a critical down, bounce in the red area, bounce right off his hands and get intercepted. And that's not, Gabe Davis has had a problem with drops. If you're going to bench James Cook, you should have benched Gabe Davis, in my opinion. But I'm not really concerned with Von Miller. Look, I know that everyone wants him to be the Von Miller that he was even last year. He had 8 sacks before he got injured. They're easing him back into it. He's not able to do what he wants to do yet. But one thing I have noticed, I think this was his best game. There was pressure. He made some key tackles in the run game. He got into the backfield and created, some movement, forced the quarterback either up or to the side. So I think he flashed here more than he has all season. But I've always expected it to take some time. He's not even a year removed from tearing his ACL. So I mean, to play that position, in year 13, I just didn't expect him to come back and be the same. It's going to take some time. I think the plan is they have enough depth at defensive end with, Gregory Rousseau and AJ Epinesa and, Leonard Floyd has been an outstanding signing. I think the plan was ease him back in. And man, once it's December, January, if the Bills can find themselves into the playoffs here, he's going to be ready to go. And I think we're going to start to see the Von Miller that we've all been waiting to see, but it's going to take that much time, just get him acclimated and back into, playing football.
That makes a lot of sense. My guess was the original plan was always to have him in peak form and optimal form headed into the playoffs, or at least down the home stretch. I think the real key is you do need him to be something, because he still has guarantees left next year, and you are getting into that salary crunch now with these big cap numbers to your top players. Yeah, that's the gift and the curse of having so many good players. You have to pay them all. So you do need him to play close to that cap number, or at least, if not be a top 5 defensive end in the league, you still need him to be in that top 12, top 15 area. But he is, a big deal on that defense now, right? Because you do need leaders, especially in that front 7 where you've gotten a lot younger. You've got this, the leaders and the safeties on the back end, but up front now, I mean, Von Miller is, again, you brought Floyd in too. That's nice, but nice to have some of the, the veteran guys down there. And hard not to talk about the offensive performance without bringing up the fact that Ken Dorsey took the fall for it. I guess let me just start out, just say they brought Joe Brady, they promoted a guy who's had a decent amount of buzz, even interviewed for head coaching positions a couple of years ago. So definitely not a nobody or anything like that. Do you think Dorsey deserved it, or do you think he was kind of made the scapegoat?
Over the last 5-6 weeks, the defense has been the one that we all expected to be weak because of the injuries. You lose Daquan Jones, you lose Tre'Davious White, you lose Matt Milano, you got backups to the backups, you get banged up on the D-line. All these things start happening. We didn't have Micah Hyde, we did Terrell Bernard's in a concussion, all these things, right? And you expect the defense to not be as strong and the offense to really carry us. And it's been the exact opposite. And so, I look to coaching for that, because the offense is not executing. They're not in sorts. They can't find a rhythm. At times they go hurry up and that's when they score. At other times they don't. There's no consistency. We run the ball great and then we just abandon it. There's just a lot there with the offense where it just hasn't been performing for 6 weeks. Sloppy, it's disjointed. There's way too much talent on that offense, led by a top QB in the NFL, for it to be averaging 20 points over the last 6 weeks. It just is. So maybe was he a little bit of the scapegoat? Can he, is it his fault that players are fumbling and, dropping passes and things like that and throwing interceptions? Absolutely not. But the offense didn't perform. And if you ask any of the leaders on the team, Josh Allen was quoted in an interview, I think today or yesterday, saying this, it's not a congratulations thing for Joe Brady. It's a we didn't do our job and somebody we care about took the fall for it. And so I think there's ownership there with the players. There's leadership there. They know that they have to execute better. They didn't. And somebody has to take the fall for that. And Sean McDermott has not been, afraid to pull the plug on things. A lot of people want McDermott gone. I'm of the mindset that McDermott's showing his mettle right now. He's, literally taking a defense that when it was healthy was a top defense in this NFL the first 4 weeks of the season in terms of takeaways and sacks, pressures. When you got injuries, it's the coach's time to show how good they are. And I think he's done that by having this defense play hard and keep us in games with an offense that can't seem to find any consistency. So, look, I hate to see it. I did not go into the season thinking that would happen at all. But I think it was time for something had to give after 6 weeks in a row of meddling and stalling on offense. Something had to give. It's looked the exact same for 6 weeks.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot to unpack there. I will say, yes, McDermott's done a great job. I didn't necessarily love that last just all out, bring the house, cover zero on the final play. They went to that well a couple times on the stretch, and I just think they probably went there a little bit too much. As far as offense, I think the salient point you bring up is the fact that the Bills don't have an offensive identity, right? If they have an offensive identity, it's basically Josh Allen runs around and creates stuff. That's not really something that's sustainable. So you have to hang that on Dorsey a little bit. They should have a couple of bread and butter plays. I mean, you saw the Giants do that to the Bills on the stretch. They basically, like a dude playing Madden, they spammed 3 plays and they just kept running them over and over and over. And they had a lot of success doing that. And I haven't seen the Bills really do that. The one question I have is, do you think that Dorsey maybe took a little bit of an L here because of his close relationship with Josh Allen, and that maybe he doesn't give Josh Allen some of that tough love or the criticism, and they wanted to bring in somebody who they thought would, to a better extent, maybe point out some of Allen's mistakes? Do you think that could play any kind of a factor in it?
Maybe, but at the end of the day, I really trust McDermott with his ability to communicate to his staff and set expectations. Players appreciate his honesty, transparency, and his ability to communicate. And I would be willing to bet that same transparency, honesty, and expectation in terms of his communication is the same with his staff. I got to believe that he had conversations with Ken Dorsey leading up to this and telling him what he needed to see, giving him his input. At a certain point, Ken Dorsey has to take control of the situation. So, look, a lot of people wanted him to go. It didn't surprise me. I think after that game, because again, 6 weeks in a row, and it's looked the same all 6 weeks, and it's been bad. I mean, there's really been no improvements. There's just no consistency. The team can score at will and then not do anything for 7 drives. We haven't won the time of possession. We just don't look like the offense that we looked like the first 5 weeks, the first 4 weeks, or last year. And the offensive line's healthy. We have Dalton Kincaid that's emerged. It's just we have plenty of weapons. It's way too talented of an offense to be struggling to score 20 points a game.
Yeah. It just comes down to somehow having to just be more efficient, especially get off to faster starts. That's one thing that does stick out. You occasionally have the good opening drive, but for the most part, you struggle on those opening drives, and those are scripted plays. That's where the offensive coordinator is supposed to show their shine, really come through in designing those first 10, 15 plays, whatever teams are scripting, because you know what you're going to see before the teams make adjustments generally, at least what you're expecting based on the film.
Yeah.
Probably not the funnest game to pick one for, but I do still need your Mafia moment from week 10. Give me one highlight from the game, one thing that stuck out with you, one positive to take away you'll remember, one Mafia moment.
I just got to say that the absolute brilliance of Dalton Kincaid, again, his, the way he got open on his touchdown, Josh perfectly looking off the safety. It was a nice executed play. Give Dorsey some credit. It was a good play call. They executed it in terms of the design of the route that took the attention and allowed Kincaid to slip on the backside, wide open in the end zone, perfect throw on a rope. Just a phenomenal play, and we needed it big time. And I think if there's been one thing that's happened over these last 6 weeks of the offense struggling. It's been the emergence of, Dalton Kincaid. The Bills have an absolute star in Dalton Kincaid, a chance to be, one of the best tight ends in the league. And, not only from a fantasy perspective, which he will be, I believe, but also from a performance perspective. So they have an absolute star in the making here. Had the Bills been winning these games, he would be getting the respect he deserves. But because they're losing, you don't get it. Winning cures everything. But I got to make my Mafia moment. Dalton Kincaid's touchdown. It was an absolute beautiful play.
Yeah, I like that. He's really been on a heater, really shown well for a rookie tight end. I know there may be a little bit worries when you saw Sam Laporta get off to a fast start. Yeah, I think Kincaid has closed the gap. It's not impossible he could get offensive rookie of the year. Would need a lot to go right, but that race is a lot more wide open than I thought. And he has definitely been on a roll for about the past month or so. We'll see what happens when Knox gets healthy. I have to ask, not the most fun thing. We saw Trayvon Diggs. He's liked to tweet about his brother Stephon a bunch of times. Yeah, he kind of tweeted out about, oh, Stephon needs to get out of there or whatever. Can you really take this seriously at this point, or is this just kind of a little bit of trolling?
I think he's just being an asshole. Worry about yourself and healing yourself. Let your brother speak for himself. He's been vehemently against wanting out. He simply wants to win. All right. Stephon Diggs wouldn't be Stephon Diggs without Josh Allen. All right. He needs a bona fide. If you put him back on the Vikings, he wouldn't produce at the same level he's producing, with Dobbs or Kirk Cousins. You put him on other teams, he's not going to, don't disrespect him, the Bills organization, or Josh Allen, Trayvon Diggs. Honestly, all of Bills Mafia, we're saying go fuck yourself. Worry about your knee. Stop being an asshole. That was an asshole comment. It's an asshole comment. You don't see Stephon Diggs saying stuff like that when the Cowboys lose. Stop being an asshole.
I just want to tell you all, go yourself.
I completely agree with you. It's one of those things where it sucks because you can't tell, right, if he's making it on behalf or he's just talking on his own. I'm assuming he's just talking on his ass. And let's be quite honest, given the contract extension Diggs signed, he's in Buffalo at least for another year. You cannot realistically, even if you wanted to, you couldn't really trade him.
No, and the Bills made him incredibly rich. They traded for him, gave up a first for him, featured him. He's had the best years of his career. He's playing with a top. I still believe a top 2 or 3 quarterback in the NFL. When Josh Allen is on, I don't think there's anybody better. And he's in a community that absolutely loves him. It's not like the Bills have won more games than Dallas over the last 3 years. So Trayvon Diggs is nothing but an asshole right now, and I lost a tremendous amount of respect for him. Let your big brother can fight his own battles, buddy. You worry about your knee.
Word.
The one thing you have to understand too is if the Bills do manage to win a Super Bowl, Diggs will get his own statue right there next to the Josh Allen statue. If he goes to Kansas City or somewhere and wins a Super Bowl, he'll get to come to he'll get on Patrick Mahomes' Christmas card list for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
A little bit a higher bar to cross there, I think. And I don't think I think it is mostly noise, especially, of course the Cowboys got to do it. They're always those dudes. All right, I think we have to move on to week 11. I'm going to give you the tale of the tape. The Bills are at home facing the New York Jets. Games at 4:25 p.m. Eastern time on CBS. We're looking at a game with temperatures in the mid-30s, possible light rain or snow, depending on which part of the 30s we're in. You have winds between 10 and 15 miles an hour, gusts up to 25 miles an hour. For those of you who might want to put down a couple of ducats on the game, the Bills are 7-point favorites. They are minus 305 on the money line, and the game total has dipped down to 39. As far as the injury report, the Bills have a few questionable players: Dorian Williams, Jordan Phillips, Micah Hyde, Christian Bedford, Cam Lewis, Trent Sherfield. I know Hyde missed the game last week. Hopefully he gets back in there this week. On the other side of the ball for the Jets, they have Will McDonald IV, Garrett Wilson, and Mekhi Becton, all questionable. I would expect most of them to play, but those are some pretty big names over there, so don't want to sell it short. And that brings us to our keys to victory for week 11. They're mostly Jamie G's keys. You know his keys. Jamie G, what are the keys to victory for the Bills?
Well, number one, and this has been the case for many weeks now, you got to protect the football. You have to protect the football. The first time these two teams played, it was one of the worst games that we've seen out of Josh Allen. And throughout this losing stretch, Josh Allen still, he still leads the league in touchdowns. He's got 70% accuracy. He's quietly putting together a very good season. We're just not winning games, and there's been some inopportune turnovers, and the offense isn't performing at the level of which we've been accustomed to, and the talent prescribes that it should. So, I think the number one thing is don't have the 3 interceptions, and win the turnover battle. And how to do that is the offensive line has to protect. We're going to be coming in with a brand new offensive play caller, and not necessarily a new system, but a new guy calling the shots and new plays. And Josh is going to be directly responsible for helping design the game plan. Coach McDermott even came out and said that that's going to be part of his job. So this is a big responsibility. It's a lot on Josh's shoulders. The keys, though, are going to be win the turnover battle, protect Josh, and win the time of possession. That's the biggest thing.
Those are all very important things. How many turnovers you need to get out of Zach Wilson? Can you win the game without getting a turnover? You need to force 2. How many times do you need to get him to cough up the rock?
I think as long as we win the turnover battle, the Bills' chances of winning this game exist. But if we can get some strip sacks, we can get an interception. The Bills were on fire with takeaways throughout the first 4 weeks of the season. We haven't had much since then. So, this could be a get-right game for a defense that was very opportunistic in the first part of the season. I'd like to get 2.
Nice. I was going to say, I'm going to call it, I don't really do predictions, but I'm going 2 picks, 5 sacks. They're going to get after them a little bit. Again, the Jets are really, the Bills are banged up. The Jets are really banged up too. I'm not asking you to feel sorry for them. Not only the Aaron Rodgers, but they're down 3 of their 5 starting offensive linemen, I believe. They've had some problems of their own over there, but that should help you get after them. And I do ask you to do score predictions every week. Last week, obviously, you didn't get there. You had Buffalo 34, Denver 17, wound up being Buffalo 22, Denver 24. I know that hurts. So you're going to give me your week 11 score prediction, and you're going to put it on your dream board or whatever you got to do to make it happen. I took them in my survivor leagues. I thought too. I put my money where my mouth was.
A 34-17 game was definitely there. Even if
you don't turn the ball over, absolutely. You're in the universe, 100%.
Yeah, it was there. For this game, look, I expect this to be a low-scoring affair. So I'm going to say, Bills 20, Jets 12. I would just say, Bills fans, I know we're upset, 5-5, not the season we wanted. But no matter what, we're going to be okay, and we're going to be good for a while here. Still got a lot of football left this season. You just never know. Maybe this is what happens, needed to happen. The Bills get on a roll. Maybe we'd miss the playoffs. Either way, this team is going to be okay for the foreseeable future. Obviously, we want to win, and we know that. But look, man, if the Bills get on a heater here and beat some really good teams, they're going to have tremendous confidence going into the playoffs, whether as a division winner or wild card winner, and there ain't a soul that's going to want to play them. So let's just see what happens. Hang in there, hang tough, be loud. Let's get even with the Jets. Go Bills, and go Bills.
A little Game of Thrones here. It's like the team that was promised. Well, I guess Josh Allen would also be the prince that was promised. So whatever way you want to work it, as long as they're sitting on the Lombardi throne at the end of it all. Thank you for checking out the Mafia Minute, again, presented by CCGAP Fantasy Football. You can find us wherever you get your pods. We're on YouTube, on social media, at CCGAPFF. Do not forget to put on your best Bills gear this week to do all your superstitions. And while you're at it, don't forget the flaps. Follow, like, and please subscribe. Again, all we ask, you had fun. You want to bring more Bills Mafia members into the tent, grow the party, grow the family, make it bigger, take it all over. You're in the right place. Please give us that thumb. I'm Magnum Mills. He's Jamie G, and Jamie G is going to do his thing and get you just a little bit more excited for the Bills game this week.
Because the Bills make me want to shout. Go Bills.